Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of YAS TALK with me, your host, Miz Diamond Wigfall, produced by Peabody TV. We love Peabody TV. And our producer, Randall. Hi, Randall. We love you so much. Thank you for making a space for queer people to have their voices amplified. And with me on this very special episode of the podcast is my drag daughter, Sequoia.
Happy to be here.
It's so weird.
No amplification needed for me.
No.
I'll just scream.
Yeah, it's fine.
From all the way up here.
It's so crazy. So Sequoia just got off the plane,
Hop to the plane at BOS and
BOS.
So is that what it is?
No, it's just Logan Airport. It's gross.
Yeah. That is a wild airport.
It's an ugly airport.
Yeah, not very fierce.
When I went to the one in Salt Lake, I was like, ooh.
No, she's fancy.
Oh.
That's very recent, but she is fancy.
And I was like, Mormons to it. White, but they
they do. They give they give all their money to the local organization that is of that.
Course.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Literally, I agree with you. Like this is like a fever dream.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, we're celebrating my 30th birthday today. And I'm having my drag family from literally all over different parts of the country come to be here. And we're doing a little reunion. And it's just weird because we haven't all been in the same room since 2019.
Yeah. It was like, November or October that we did that, or I guess we did one in December of 2019.
I think, but that one wasn't with everybody. I think like the last family one was like maybe a month or two before that.
Yeah.
So we haven't all been, we might have seen each other a little bit here and there. And I've seen all you guys individually over the last 5 years. But it's just so weird that you are in this room right now.
It's wild. And last time we met, you were in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
To do a festival that I produced out there, which we're doing again this year.
Yeah,
very fun. Very
I loved Salt Lake when I was there.
It's fun. You got to know where to look, but there's a really cool community.
Yeah, you just got to look underneath things.
Yeah.
And you're like,
pick up a rock, and then you're like, oh, there's like 16 queer people.
Yeah. I was like, oh, look, faggot. I can't say that yet. If you'll find them, you'll find your community there.
Yeah. No, it's very cool.
All right. So here at YAS Talk, there's kind of two talking points that I like to talk about.
Okay.
First, I like to talk about like drag career and like how you got into this, and I want to talk about your transition from New York to Salt Lake, and then we'll talk about like your queerness after that.
Oh, okay.
Your just your journey, and you have like such a particular journey. You're so inspiring. I love you so much. I just can't believe you're here right now.
I'm so gagged.
It is so
wild. Oh my God.
And it's weird that like, because we didn't get to see each other like while she was getting ready or anything. So this is very much like we are seeing each other.
We're catching up.
We're catching up right now.
On camera in front of microphones.
Because we haven't seen each other since last September, which is basically a year ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
My God.
I feel so wild.
So when did you start drag? And also tell about how we met.
Okay. So, because they're conjunct.
They're intertwined.
I, much like you and many other people, went to school for musical theater. And as I was in college, I did this fun thing with a group of friends of mine would come out and do auditions. And when I say we, I mean they, because I never did the auditions, but I just came to New York City because whatever, and wanted to like not be in Utah for a second. So me and a friend came to a show at Vodka Soda Bottoms Up on 46th Street. And Ritzy Bits was hosting.
I just talked to her today.
You were really? I love her.
I love her too.
You were one of the performers. I don't remember if it was I think it was a competition.
It was a competition.
And
was it the night that I won?
I think you won.
I think it was the night that I won.
Because like we were losing our minds. I had never actually seen a drag show, let alone in New York City, like competition like that. So we're down the street after the show, like smoking on this stoop, and walks by you, and I believe Ale was with you.
Really?
And it was me and my friends Aaron and Terry, and we just were like, hey, you were amazing, like, blah. And you were like, hey, I know, blah. And then
that's very mean.
And then
like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. Like I really did that. And then we connected on Instagram. And then fast forward like a year and a half, I was like graduated from school, hadn't moved to New York yet. I did drag in a show at Salt Lake Acting Company, and I was like, I'm obsessed with this. So when I moved to New York, you were the only person I knew who did the art of drag.
Shut up. That's
and like
crazy.
The only person I was actually connected to. Like I knew who people were, but I didn't know anybody.
Yeah, like
and we didn't really know each other.
Yeah.
You had like responded to 2 of my stories, and I had responded to like 600 of yours over the last 2 years, and so it was like, I'll just message and see what's what, and then you offered me a slot at Sure Did.
Really?
And then told me about like UDP and Drag Wars and all these other things that I could do to like break in.
UDP. Oh my God.
I was UDP season 10, I believe.
Was I 1 or 2 or before you?
I think you were season 6.
Sure.
And I was season 10. Because between us was like Poppy 1 and Kiki 1 and...
Poppy won before me.
Oh. Well...
It was Poppy that won, and then I think I won after Poppy.
And then there was someone and then Kiki.
Really?
I think there was 2. I don't...
Kiki, Selma.
Oh, yeah. Selma, Kiki, and then... Yeah.
But you didn't...
No, I did not place. Let me be clear.
Wait.
I came nowhere close to winning that competition.
True. You did really well.
I did well. I was in the top 5 of 8 weeks, but I lost every lip sync. Yeah. But I was, to be fair to me, it was like I would be lip syncing against either Tsunami Muse or Corma Kelly or Pietra Parker, who were all like...
Corma Kelly.
Really? Yes, Corma.
I love her.
Corma, Amanda Pork, Tsunami Muse, Cheeky Gorgina, Paris Lahomie. It was a really fun...
Wow, that's like a great cast.
Yeah, it was
really
fabulous.
Big cast. All right, so you start doing... Well, we meet, and then I kind of just was like, you're a part of my drag film. Because we hit it off right away, pretty much. We were just... This girl is so sarcastic in the best way possible. Like, so am I. Like, I feel like both of us have that issue where people have to like turn their head sometimes and be like, are they serious or not?
Joking?
Yeah, like they don't know because we're both so dry and we'll keep going with bits. And like, especially when we're together, it's just like a sarcasm clusterfuck.
It's like, it's sometimes hard for us to tell.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, we gotta pause.
Tone it down.
We... Okay, Jane, like, we're like putting a break and being like, okay, we are joking.
We are joking. Yeah. And so you became a part of the drag family, and we would do shows at the West End all the time. And then you competed in UDP, and I think I choreographed one of your things maybe, or like backup dance at some point. I don't remember. There was lots of stuff.
There was lots of
lots of things.
Moving parts.
And that's where we met Chola Spears, UDP. I'm Bambi, I knew from college, but she's one of the only All-Stars winners of UDP.
Yeah, there was like 2 seasons, and she won season 2.
She won season 2, yeah. So we're very proud of our drag family. Is pretty great.
It's fierce. That's where we met Lozo too.
Yeah, well, I met Lozo at Stonewall.
Oh yeah.
I met Lozo at Stonewall at a gig, and then we just like hit it off right away. And Lozo, I love them so much.
Oh my God.
I want them on the podcast too. I'm going to make them come back. Because they're just the best.
Yeah.
They're so cool.
I love.
All right. So drag. So you do UDP.
Yes.
And then you start gigging. You were also in other competitions while you were out there. What is the high key? What was it called?
It was Drag Race Star at Club Coming. And it was Quest for Queens at Therapy. May she rest in peace.
The Quest for Queens.
Yeah, it was very formal. It was very it was very that. But both of them ended because of COVID lockdowns. So it was week 1 of the therapy competition, and we were like halfway through the Club Coming competition. And I was doing very well.
I remember.
Because it was a singing competition, and I was really proud of I was like finally getting my footing, I felt like.
Yeah.
And I had gigged around with other, with Queens and
stuff. You did Queens for a Cause with Dan.
You did lots of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had acquired my very own weekly gig at Albatross for like a month and a half before lockdowns. I had a Monday night.
I remember that.
It was a Monday karaoke night.
Why don't I remember?
It wasn't that memorable. I mean, by the time because it was Jacqueline's gig, and Jacqueline offered it to me, and I literally had like maybe 2 weeks of having a poster before lockdown hit.
It sucks because like we were all doing great.
Yeah.
Like our drag family was really killing it. I was going to get a show in Hell's Kitchen, if you remember, which is like a huge rite of passage for like a drag performer in New York City. And I feel like Sure Did was one of like the longest lasting shows at our bar. Like every other girl cut.
Yeah.
Like it's true though.
Yeah.
It's true.
Not everything can last, but that was a really special thing, and people loved it.
And the staff loved it too. Like Peter Dunn. I love him. And
Natty Bear.
Yeah. Just so many incredible people over there. And the thing about Sure Did that was so magical is like we did a lot of it as a family. Like there would always be like special guests that would come in, but lots of group numbers, lots of really like fun things. We get to do a little mother-daughter number a couple times, and we've done the musical Wheel of Impressions because she can sing, I can sing, but she can really sing. This girl you have a beautiful, beautiful voice. So lockdown happens, and I remember you and I, like, we would meet outside during lockdown a couple times.
Yeah.
And one of the saddest days that I had in New York City was with you, and we were just like out on the water, like we were we were isolated, we were wearing masks, and you and I were just like crying.
Yeah.
Crying.
Just sort of like sat by the river and we're like, I think
we have to leave.
We're leaving.
Yeah, because there was no drag anymore. And there was no, like, I was a dance teacher, so there was no teaching anymore. Like, there was nothing that I could do. And if I was going to work at Starbucks and, like, live in a shithole of an apartment, like, I'm not going to do it in New York City.
Right.
I'm going to go do it somewhere where, like, I can go outside.
Right.
And, like, I remember that day. That is one of the most clear days in my heart, is sitting there on the water with you and just talking about, like, what are we going to do with our lives?
What could happen?
And it was so hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm just so grateful for you because you are also, not only are you incredibly talented, you have like the best heart. And you've always been such a loving person to me, and you've always been there to help me or do whatever. And like any idea that I have, you're always like ready to fucking go and do. And like, I'm also so proud of you because after lockdown, we had a similar trajectory. Like after lockdown, we went back to our home places, and then I started really kind of like taking over Salem, and you bitch, you have taken over Salt Lake City. Like it is like you've won many awards. Like you won Salt Lake City's like drag performer of the year, and you're nominated again this year.
Yeah, thank you. It's crazy, and I want to say, like, Salt Lake has a really awesome queer community, and there has been drag in Utah since the state was settled, which was less than 200 years ago. Like, it's a very new place.
Yeah.
But, like, it's been around for a long time. Like, there's the Royal Court of the Golden Spike Empire, and they're, like, old school pageant divas from Salt Lake. There's Gia Bianca Stevens and a few of these people who you've met, like Peabody. Had been in Utah working and hustling and making things happen for a really long time. And so I kind of came in at a point where, like, not a ton was going on. So I had some opportunity to create shit from the ground up and, like, make something very specific to me and how I learned how to host, which was from you. Like, sort of how to create a room that is generous and, like, exciting,
interactive,
isn't false, isn't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not making you scream yas for a good time. It's like you get to a place where you want to do that. And so it was kind of fun to bring the like sure did type energy to Salt Lake.
And what is so amazing about you is, like, you have so many different assets to, like, what you can bring as a queen. Like, your makeup's great, your looks are great, your comedy is wonderful. Like, this bitch can do a mix so great. Like, you are so funny with your monologues and everything. And you can dance too.
I know you don't taught to me.
Yes, you
it's choreographed.
But, like, there are girls that can't even get 1 8 count, and you're out here. You're out here doing what you need to get done. Because you're my daughter.
Well, yes, I learned from them.
And so how was it, like, when you got to Salt Lake? Did you have to, like, prove yourself in the same way that you do in New York City, or was it more like people were like welcoming of you? Like, because I've also, you know, once you get success, people try to take it away from you, of course, which I've dealt with for sure. Who are like, and I'm like, but we're really good.
So. Well, when I got there, I was like, I was really not connected with the drag scene, because when I left Utah, I was only connected with theater industry, and that was kind of it, which is also very big in Utah. I know, theater is terrible.
It's terrible. Don't do theater.
We should ban theater.
Yeah, don't ban drag.
Ban theater. We both say with our BFAs in musical theater. Don't tell. I have BFA in drag. But no,
about that on the podcast.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to expose you.
No, I'm kidding.
But I didn't know just how vast the community was, and so I knew 2 people, Marlo Suzanne and Sally Cohn Slopes, and I was like, what can I do? Like, is there anything going on? Like, or is anyone doing any outdoor shows? And there was an outdoor show that Jordan, JRC Events, was producing.
Shout out to Jordan.
We love you, JRC Events. And we were like, I messaged with him, and he was like, yeah, come do a song. I, like, sang a Foreigner song in a mask. And it was bad. It was bad because I couldn't breathe. And it was just, you know, I was wearing like a cloth mask. It was really hard. And it was also like, it was crazy to see my parents outside of the drag show, like, for the first time. In Utah was very weird. And then I fucked off. I went to the desert with my friends.
I remember.
Me and Mickey, because we were roommates in New York. We both came back to Utah. We were living in my parents' basement.
I remember that.
And we were dissociating.
Yeah, I was so jealous
because it was rough. Living in New York, there was nothing.
You had a hard time in New York at the end too, because you were just overworked and you were a restaurant manager right at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I just remember that was one of the things we talked about is this can't be our life.
I can't do this.
This can't be our life.
Forever and ever and never get to touch grass.
Yeah.
Or sand, which is what I was doing. But we were just we were hanging out in Moab a lot, and Mickey was learning to tattoo, and it was just sort of this am I gonna do drag still? I really didn't know.
I almost stopped doing drag too. For a while.
Yeah.
Once the pandemic started, and even when we had all the masks and everything, I would do makeup still.
Yeah.
But I was it was so depressing.
It's hard to find the motivation when there's so much else going on that is so important that it was what does it even all mean? Not to be dramatic, but that's what it felt like. And so when I got a job at a chicken and waffles restaurant, and the ownership came up to me a month after working there, and they were hey, we wanted to do something for New Year's Day, sort of we only have 15 seats in this house, and a little mask on drag show at this big open air restaurant. What do you say? In Ogden. And I was sure. And then it ran for 3 years. And
that was what was it called?
It was called Wigs and Brunch.
Yes, Wigs and Brunch.
Because it was WB's Erie Wigs Brunch,
Love that.
Cute little thing. And then I started a show at Blue Jeans, the show that you did.
Karaoke show?
Karaoke, yes, but that came later. But the high-waisted drag dinner show started out as a brunch. Used to be a restaurant. It's had many life cycles.
I loved Blue Jeans. It was so fun.
It's my favorite bar.
It was so cute.
Also, shout out to Blue Jeans. We love you.
I loved being there, and you guys took such wonderful care of me. Also, remember that guy at Blue Jeans after the show that was
as I fall out of this chair.
Hello, ladies. He was really hurt. He was trying.
He was having a good time looking at us.
Yeah, and he got
your phone number. Yeah, he didn't get mine, but he got yours.
Fine.
And that makes sense.
I know.
Some people like blondes,
and some people like blonde,
and anyone else likes blondes.
We're looking for anyone who likes brunettes out there.
Mm-hmm.
This is a PSA.
Desperate. Is this thing on for someone who likes brunettes? Thank you.
So Blue Jeans, and then and then
I've had many failed projects too, and this is just advice for any drag artist who's listening. I know you have, we both have. You have to be willing to roll with the punches, and I had a show at a place called Quarters. It was a lot like Bit Bar.
Mm-hmm.
That was arcade vibe. Did not do well.
Yep.
The show was fun.
Yeah.
The people who came to see it enjoyed it. I had a good time, but it just wasn't selling. So they were move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And
my biggest flop was Dragula in Salem, Massachusetts.
Can
you believe that?
I literally can.
My biggest flop of a show ever. I had a bunch of people the first 2 weeks completely. I had a wonderful audience of 4 or 5 people that would come every week or really try.
Yeah.
But it was my biggest flop in Salem, Massachusetts. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I could not believe it. But it's also you can't predict anything.
Yeah.
So, I'm in that rock band now, and I work
the Galaxy,
the Marla Suzanne and the Galaxy Band, and we do different themed shows and stuff. I get to do brunch up in Park City and down at Edison House where you did that other show, which brings us to, should we talk?
Yeah, let's talk about this now.
Let's talk about it now.
We've done a good job of giving your arc of a drag queen, and then we'll go to your queerness after that.
Sure.
When I was in Salt Lake City, I had the pleasure of doing a gig at the Edison House, which is so bougie.
It's so fun.
It's so bougie.
It's so fun.
How much does it cost to be a member there per month?
I have no idea.
It's a lot of money.
I think it's a couple hundred at least, depending on, I think there's a tier, but it's there's restaurants and there's a gym, there's a pool, and
just to be a member,
you
still have to pay for everything when you
it's like Soho House or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I go in there, and literally we do this brunch, and I was turning it out. It was so much fun.
She slayed.
It was so much fun.
Sufficiently.
Sufficiently.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, and they follow me on Instagram, and I can't remember
Bella.
So cute. I love her. She's so funny. And all these flat women were Jesus. Queen.
Yeah. Oh my God, they sounded just like that.
Just like that. So we're all posing for a picture, and this little queer person named Bella is everyone. They said it as a joke. they go, everyone say faggot. And all of these women say faggot. Not one of them was like, Denise, should we?
Because should you be bad?
Yeah,
Should we say faggot?
No, like not one of them was like, Janice, I don't, like not one, they were just like, like it was so crazy. So Salt Lake.
Salt Lake.
I really enjoyed my time there. What I liked about it is like there is such a Mormon, obviously, oppression to it, but then you get this counterculture of like punk rock people and like queer people,
really
and
queer.
It's so cool. And so fucking beautiful.
Stunning.
I mean, when you
She
took
is
me up to
beautiful.
the mountains, like I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop being like,
It's crazy. I mean, it is a very beautiful place, and I'm very lucky to like be from there because it's a very specific energy.
yeah.
And I wish I had known about the queer community that lives there. If anyone from Utah is watching this, like, do some research, do some digging, follow some drag artists, like, make sure that you connect with that community because there's a lot of talent.
So good.
There's a lot of really safe spaces to hang out. You just have to know where to look.
Yeah.
And I mean, Park Cafe also.
Yeah.
That place right by my house with the good potatoes and stuff.
Holy sh! That was sexy breakfast.
I know.
That was sexy breakfast.
Yeah, that's morning after breakfast.
It was so good. I had a couple of those in Salt Lake City. So you, as a queer person, like when did you? I know it's like such a broad question, but when did you start to realize that you were queer?
I have a very specific memory. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, I mean that's what. There's cameras. So
would you like to listen to a story, to an anecdote? So one time I was in Scouts, and I kind of knew, like, I was like I was like the kid that was like, maybe I didn't quite fit in. I could make everyone laugh, but like I wasn't like everyone's bestie, you know? Yeah. I'm there like learning how to be funny so I can like survive.
Yeah.
And
and here we are, 2020
in full drag. Nurture queer children, because if you don't, they will become this. But or maybe if you do, they will, and that's fierce too. Anyway, I remember being on a hike, and one of the kids in my ward who was my age had he said something about like believing in God or something, and I remember being like, ooh, that's kind of hot. And then it was like, that's not a normal thought. Like, it was so layered.
That's something about believing in God, and you said,
and I was like, ooh, I love a man with good faith. Like, I remember like to myself being like, because Mormon girls do that.
Of course.
And so I'm a girl in many ways. And so I was like, right. So I was like, ooh, and I remember catching myself having that thought and being like, I'm not like the other boys. And I'm certainly not like the other girls either. But
and what was it like being queer growing up? Like, when did you come out officially? Like, how? And I'm sure it's very difficult being in a Mormon society, and your family was Mormon.
Yeah. We were the most Mormon. So like when I came out the first time, and it wasn't even on purpose, I was like being bullied in junior high for being queer, or like perceivably not straight anyway. And my mom said a very sweet thing at the time, but she was also, she didn't know a lot about the queer community at the time. Yeah. She's like, we were all super Mormon, especially her. And she was like, well, would it be the worst thing if you were? And I was like, well, yeah, because like that's like against the rules, Yeah. And she was like, we're going to figure it out and don't worry about it. So then I did what we call light conversion therapy.
Oh, no. Never mind.
Yeah, no. But her intentions were very sweet, but we didn't know what else to do. That's what the church tells you to do.
Yeah.
So she was like, and it was all very loving, but it was therapy to try to get me to not be queer, or at least not to act on those feelings and stuff. And I did that for like a year before we kind of realized it wasn't working.
And how, I mean, obviously go into what you're comfortable talking about, but like what sort of process is that like? Because I don't really like indulge in any of that, because like to me that's really it's traumatizing, and I've never even gone through it.
Yeah.
So
it was very like, it was just a lot of lessons and like stories, and like it's LDS Family Services, which like, if you can't tell by now, I'm not a huge fan of that institution,
of course,
as a whole, but specifically the Family Services portion, because they were just showing me like stories from the Book of Mormon and from the Bible, and like talking about what the rules are as far as everything that's written down. But my last therapist from that group was he was actually a friend's dad, and I wasn't supposed to know that, but I knew who he was.
That's not good.
And but because of that, he was actually really cool to me.
Okay.
And he was like, so you finished your like How Not to Be Gay course, he was like, you have a couple options. You can like
the rule book.
You can do what I've told you and live the life that the church wants you to, or you can live a life outside of the church. He's like, there's not a ton of crossover. So he was like, I'm not telling you what to do, but you can stay or you can go. And like kind of gave me some sort of ultimatum. I was like 14 at this point.
And how did that, like, was that something really terrifying to you to like leave the church at the time? Or was this, okay.
It was scary, but also my brother is gay and had been going through a very similar thing, but at an older age.
Yeah.
So
I was going to bring that up, but I didn't know. That's his story.
Yeah.
I love Jaren. Shout out to Jaren.
We love you, Jaren.
I love you so much.
Love my sister. But like at that time, we weren't super close, so we weren't communicating about what was going on.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of solace in knowing that like he was having difficult conversations with my parents too.
Yeah.
And so by the time he had graduated, he's 4-ish years older than me, so we never went to school together. Like
Gotcha.
it was he was always a bit ahead.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to high school, I saw how people treated him, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not. And I was like, which was like a weird, not that he let that happen. Like, I'm not trying to imply that.
It's other people.
It's other people.
People's
but
fault.
I was like, I know that's coming. I'm going to be a bully to the people who would bully me.
Yeah.
So I was able to spot the people who would fuck with me, and I would fuck with them before they could fuck with me, and mostly before they could fuck with anyone else. Because like, you can bully me, but don't bully, the other theater kids or whatever.
Yeah.
So like,
you're a protector.
I'm very much a protector.
You got the maternal energy like I do.
Yes.
Even though we hate kids, but like we have that.
Like, don't fuck with my family.
Yeah, don't.
And there were a lot of great people in my school who did take really good care of me. There were a couple of other queer kids in my school too, so I wasn't alone. But I was also like in student government and in theater, stuff. So I was able to kind of like create a safe zone for myself. That's and cool. Be able to like, keep people away from me and keep people in line a little bit.
Well, I feel like queer people, they have to like be 10 times better at things, because it's like, if you're not amazing at things, like you have no worth, especially probably in an extreme religious society. Like, if you're not on student government, if you're not in the shows, if you're not doing things at like such a excellent rate, like you are nothing, you're going to be homeless, you're going to, they tell you all these things that like being queer equals like devastation for your life. And I'm sure
like a risky future.
Yeah.
And so like, I was like, I did assign a lot of my worth to like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to New York City. I'm doing my thing. Like I'm going to fight for blah, blah, blah. And I did those things. And then, that is sort of manifested a lot differently than I thought it would when I got there, because I ended up doing drag and not doing the industry that kind of like, people didn't know what a drag queen was where I was growing up, so like they would have never thought that maybe.
Yeah.
They were like, you're gonna be on Broadway, young man.
I mean, me too. I mean, that's what
you know what I mean. That's what everyone says. And then
now
I
we're
sort of
drag and podcast
turned left, but also like, what joy, what a gift.
I feel that way too. Like, I feel like it's so funny that these people that try to repress the queerness in you, it's the thing that makes you so special.
Yeah.
And when you come into that and you accept that for yourself and you start loving yourself so hard, people see that light in you. And that's the thing that's always made us I don't want to say superior, but special, like have a superpower.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to me that like, I'm so glad that your family has grown with you. And I know that that's a thing that you've talked about a lot, because your parents are very close with you.
Yeah.
I've met them, I think, once or twice.
Yeah. They come to drag shows all the time.
Yeah. And they're wonderful people. And like, they have seen how the church has hurt their children.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they still have some religious like ties too, but they have grown, and they've grown as people with you because they see that you are special.
Yeah.
And like, not many kids have that at all.
Yeah.
So like, especially where you're from, I bet you're very lucky in that aspect.
Oh my God. I mean, it really is sort of once in a lifetime. And a lot of that comes from my brother directly, because he was like picking fights. Like Jaren was like, here's the tea. Like, we were sort of like really going back and forth with our parents on these things, because like, there were many times where we could have sort of backed down to what they had to say, but Jaren especially, really kept a firm foot on his ground of like, no, this is what it means to be a queer person. The trial that God has given me isn't that I'm queer, it's that everyone treats me like shit because of it.
Yes.
Like, let's be really critical in our thinking. And so he kind of, I think he set off a lot of thought processes for them. in a way that basically what I'm saying is fight with your parents. If you you know what I mean? Give them a yell or something, because you'll be amazed at how compassionate people can be when they're put in their place.
When they're challenged.
Yeah.
Or even just challenged. Put in the place is one thing, but like to challenge old ways of thinking and just like, I think parents learn, like you learn from your parents, but parents learn so much from their children all the time. When I was a nanny and stuff like that, like kids would teach me things all the time. Like, and it's crazy what kids pick up on and learn at such a young age. Yeah. But I mean, you're an incredibly strong person to have gone through that, and look at you now. You're fucking like a celebrity of Salt Lake City, pretty much. You are.
Well, thank you.
are.
It's like, I felt like for a long time I didn't have a choice. It was like, okay, I gotta go make a name for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of where I've come from. I wouldn't change. I mean, I'd change a couple things, but for the most part, I wouldn't change it. You know what I mean? It made me the person that I am today.
Yeah. I feel that way too.
Because if I hadn't been actively, like if I loved Utah when I was growing up, I wouldn't have come to New York City. I would not have met you.
Yeah.
I would not have started drag in the same way. Maybe I would have found it eventually, but like I wouldn't have had the drag upbringing that I did without trying to get away from that place and then realizing the power in kind of like holding down the fort
space for other people. I feel that way about Salem too, because like Salem was always punk and different and queer.
Yeah.
Like, there was an undertone of it, but like to be visibly out there and like creating economic growth for queer people and giving
for the businesses that want to help. Yeah.
Yeah. And just all that, like it is so much more rewarding than whatever New York City was doing for me. Honestly. And I know that like I'm doing something that actually impacts people's lives.
Yeah, you can see it.
And I bet so much more. I mean, even you're in such an intense religious culture out there.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing is like probably saving so many people.
A lot of people, like, and this is not just me, this is any drag artist in Utah, but people will be like, thank you for doing this.
I have that too.
Thank you. You know what I mean? There is something like you can see on people's faces, like, I've never seen something like this. I've never seen queer joy. Yeah. And I haven't talked to my queer kid in 2 years, and now I'm going to give them a call.
Right.
Or like, they start to have those wheels turn, because like some people don't want to leave Salem. Some people don't want to leave Utah. Yeah. Some people can't. Some people can't afford to, or they're going to in 5 years, but they may as well have something fun and queer and safe to do while they're in places like this, because like what the hell, it's not just for New York, it's not just for LA, like it's for everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that I would say our drag family does, or like, you know, something that I've seen you 100% do, is like when you're doing drag, you're not necessarily like we're vain, you know, we're drag queens,
sure,
but you do it in a like social, like conscious, progressive, like activism. There's a veil of that for what you're doing, and you're fighting for other people, and you're not just like taking advantage of the fact that like I'm slay, I'm fierce, like give me money, like this is why I do it, like I want you to tell me I'm beautiful. Like you're doing it so other people can feel uplifted in a real genuine way. And I feel like that's why we've always connected, because we're not just doing it so someone can tell us that we're amazing. We're doing it so they can feel amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And be inspired by it.
100%. Because if it was about feeling amazing, we would have quit by now.
Yeah, because this does not feel amazing. Let's talk about all the pain we're in.
Let's talk about discomfort.
Discomfort in the head. Ouch. This eyelashes are gross. Ouch.
Scratchy.
Ouch. Yeah, itchy.
Ow. Ooh,
ouch.
Skin.
Like, ouch. Like, this hurts. But also, gorge.
Worth it. I mean, there's something to be said for recognizing when you say something like, don't I look gorgeous? And everyone goes, yes. Like, that is so part of it. And it's so fun to see people do that. But it's also so fun to be like, hey, by the way, make sure you're registered to vote.
Exactly.
Because if you want to keep seeing drag shows like this, you better make sure that no one who wants to ban our existence gets elected into office. And I don't want to hear it when you start complaining in a year. You know what I mean? If we do lose, for some terrible reason. Yeah. Like to lose this right to exist in this way publicly, safely, is like such a real threat.
It's so real.
And
in Utah, like I've seen you guys posting and like your friends and things. I've seen like now they're in my algorithm, so I see a lot of the girls from out there. And I've seen like you guys have had such intense political turmoil over there for trans rights, for trans children. Like, how has that been? Like, because in Salem and in Boston, there is that still, for sure. Yeah. But I feel like in Salt Lake, it has been it's been direct. Like they have been making
so direct, and it's so constant. Like it's almost hard to keep up on it.
Right.
They're also kind of sneaky. Like the Utah legislature loves to like, oh, by the way, we did this, that. Like they'll just like chuck something in there. Like they just recently called, and I don't know when this is going to air, so this may be old news by then, but they just recently called like a random session, like before they were supposed to even begin doing sessions, because the people have like there's a thing in Utah where people can write ballot initiatives themselves. Like you don't have to go through the political process for like things that the majority of people would want to see.
Okay.
And the Utah Supreme Court is trying to defend that, and then the Utah legislature is trying to undo that so that they can rewrite all of these things that have to do with drag, that have to do with so much more than drag.
Of course, yeah.
And like so many weird specific laws. Like it's a constant battle. And there's always a protest. There's always something at the Capitol. There's always like we're so tired out there.
I can tell. I mean, it's like exhausting to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, wow, like this is like the fourth protest I've seen. Like, and it's admirable that you guys, like what you're doing out there it means so much to so many goddamn people. And it's true. Like even me seeing it as your drag mother or just your friend, like I am just so impressed with you and your poise and your talent and everything that you bring to this world. Like you are a goddamn light.
Oh,
you are so amazing.
That means so much to me. No, I love you. I mean, I say all the time, I'm like, I learned how to run a drag show and make people feel good from watching you, because like you just really do. The vibe is different at Sure Did. The vibe is different when you're on the microphone. And I know people in Salem would say the same thing. By the way, this is the ADHD. This is a random thing, but Edie and I were walking to coffee and we heard someone talking about you today, like from over a fence. She was like, and if you look to your left, there's Miz Diamond Wigfall. And they were talking about like how much they love Salem and like how much like you mean to this community. And it's because like you're a community builder. You're not interested in like, fame and fortune, although that I'm sure would be nice, but you do this because you love it and because you care about seeing people have a good time, be safe, enjoy some queer art. And enjoy what you do so well,
Being stupid.
So
stupid. All right, we are about out of time.
We're done.
But this done.
Finished.
Just cover the
end of episode. Cut the cameras.
Cut the cameras. So the last thing I always ask, and thank you for being an amazing guest. I love you. Like I said, this is so mushy, but I love you so much. We haven't been able to catch up.
I know.
It's just like emotional, and I love you so much. It does feel like a fever dream.
Yeah.
I always ask every person who comes on my podcast, which we didn't do for Pee-wee, and I forgot. So sorry. That was my last episode that I recorded. What is the thing that makes you like the most gayest thing about it? Queers, like the thing that you're like, yes, like I love this thing and it makes me so fierce, and it just like embodies.
What is the thing?
Yeah, like what gives you that queer?
Well, this is like a broad answer, but music specifically has such a way to like, and I, me, I love to I'm like John Denver. Like I'm listening to like Chicago. Yes, like I love that shit because I was raised on it, and it like for a long time was nice for me to like rediscover those roots. However, very recently, my friends Lady Facade, Nancy Reagan, and a few others love those. I love, oh my God, I would
love her.
Die for her, love her. But she and Nancy and many others in Salt Lake have like gotten me into like Sophie and to people I hadn't just like given the proper time to. That kind of music these days, like hyper pop and K-pop, and I sort of am getting into like a...
Are you a brat? Are you bumping that?
Yes, bumping that for sure. I've done a few brat parties. I'm doing another one. I love like club music these days. Love Pink, love Brat, love Charlie, but genuinely very mindful about like just Aggie music. Just like that makes you like woo, like I can't.
Makes you what? One more time.
I'm not doing that. I'm embarrassed. But but yeah, I think in general music is the gayest thing about me, like my taste. But
me too.
Specifically, yeah.
All right. Well, that's been episode. What does it say? episode 600 YAS Talk.
Of YAS Talk.
Thank you so much, Sequoia, for being here.
For having me.
Shout out to Peabody TV and our producer, Randall. We love you so much. This has been a lovely YAS Talk with my drag daughter, Sequoia, all the way from Salt Lake City. Please stay tuned for more episodes here on the Peabody TV YouTube channel and on Spotify. You can catch it. You can listen to it. You can watch it, but you want to watch it because, like, look how good we are.
I mean, come on.
Come on.
And I'll be back next week with special guest. You'll just have to tune in and see. It's me. I'm taking over. I'm in charge now.
All right, cut the cameras.
Cut the cameras. Okay, we're going to fight.